I told you guys it was coming. The modern day Socrates. Well, I'm not sure if that's a proper analogy. I think Socrates was like a philosopher or something. I am simply a predictor of media future. It was maybe a month or two ago that I said Brian Stelter's days at CNN were numbered. If I remember correctly, I think I did a video about him being worried about his future at the network, and with good reason. Ratings for his show are absolutely god-awful. I struggle to even call it a show. Shows are supposed to be entertaining. The only entertaining thing about Brian Stelter is seeing how many donuts he can eat in under a minute. The man, or birthing person in his case, is a donut eating machine. And I hope I'm using proper pronouns when describing Brian Stelter. It is entirely possible that he is not an overweight birthing person, but a pregnant woman. Either way, it is best to keep it safe. We don't want to misgender anyone, so for the purpose of this video, we will use shitfuck pronouns when describing Brian Stelter. The death of his career is just another in a long line of deaths left in the wake of Donald Trump. I swear to God, I have never seen someone wield this much power without being in office or involved in the mainstream media. I'm not even a supporter of Donald Trump, but I gotta respect his power and credibility. Anyone who is an enemy of this dude gets vanquished. Liz Cheney, a woman whose father was absolutely crucified by the woke media. I guess one morning she decided she needed some exercise. She hears the best form of exercise is offered at the Traveling Butt Bongo Festival. She aligns herself with the same people who tormented and diminished her father's legacy. She gets infected with Trump derangement syndrome, becomes captain of the Republican division of the woke army, doesn't even make it through the primary in Wyoming, gets absolutely demolished. Chris Cuomo, career dead. For 2 years, Rachel Maddow was one of the leading voices in pushing that Russian collusion propaganda. She lost all her credibility. Joy Reid, career on life support. Keith Olbermann. Do I even need to explain that one? The list goes on, and now we can add Brian Stelter to the list. A couple of hours ago, CNN announced they were canceling Reliable Sources. It was the longest running show at the network, been on the air for over 30 years. Past 9 years, Brian Stelter was the host, which, that's kind of ironic when you think about it. A known propagandist, a confirmed shitfuck, hosting a show called Reliable Sources. The only reliable information coming from Brian Stelter is directions to the nearest Dunkin' Donuts. Now, CNN, they didn't just cancel the show. They're also ending Brian Stelter's career with the network. He was given the "we wish you the best on your future endeavors" speech. Let me translate that for you. You're completely useless. There's never any donuts left in the break room. Get the fuck out of here. And continuing with the propaganda the network's known for, in their statement to the media, CNN called Brian Stelter an impeccable broadcaster. What? What? Impeccable broadcaster? During his prime, Howard Stern was an impeccable broadcaster. John Madden, impeccable broadcaster. Pat Summerall, Bill O'Reilly, Doris Burke, Marv Albert. Those are impeccable broadcasters. Brian Stelter is a huge, embarrassing failure. Let me show you some clips of what constitutes as impeccable broadcasting at CNN. Roll the film.
What might lie ahead? Jen, thanks for coming on Reliable Sources.
My pleasure.
Busy summer ahead, infrastructure, election reform. What does the press get wrong when covering Biden's agenda? When you watch the news, when you read the news, what do you think we get wrong? COVID surging in some areas, markets plunging, crypto crashing, inflation raging, gas prices soaring, and there's the baby food shortage and a seemingly never-ending string of mass shootings, the ongoing war in Ukraine, and a monkeypox outbreak? It goes on and on. So is the media supposed to look for silver linings here? Are we just going to give viewers what they want? Look, who knows? I think that's an example of a broader question for Twitter, which is, if you get invited to something where there are no rules, where there is total freedom for everybody, do you actually want to go to that party? Or are you going to decide to stay home? And that's a question for Twitter users. Some Twitter users might love the idea there's going to be absolutely no moderation and no rules at all. Others might not want to be anywhere near that. Am I crazy, Matt?
No, you're right. And what happens to the advertising? I mean, if there's no moderation or little moderation, do the advertisers stay away? What does that do to the business prospects for Twitter itself?
I think that's very much... When it comes to President Biden, there's been a very sudden shift in the narrative wins. I'm sure you've felt it. Headlines are describing this week as one of the biggest and one of the best of the Biden presidency, filled with, quote, political wins and policy victories, and many of those so-called wins happening while he was in isolation after testing positive for COVID. I suppose another win this weekend is that he's now COVID-free. So is the press pulling all of it together? Is the news getting through?
I wonder why people weren't tuning in. That one clip where he's talking about the great week for the Biden administration, that was 2 fucking weeks ago. This is why this dude has no credibility. People aren't stupid. You think people care that Joe Biden had a great week when they're struggling to pay for gas to get to work, struggling to buy groceries, struggling to unteach their children all the bullshit they're learning in public schools? I'm sure Joe Biden did have a great week. He's always on vacation. 20 months into his presidency, bumbling Biden has taken 150 vacation days. The average working person, they take 150 days of vacation in 10 years. The purpose of reliable sources, the purpose of the show, it was to examine and critique the mainstream media. According to Brian Stelter himself, his job was to analyze the media, use his experience working at the New York Times to explain the ins and outs, to highlight the propaganda in the mainstream media. I have zero experience working in the media. I highlight their propaganda every day. Instead of Brian Stelter doing his job, he became part of the problem. He is another example of a talentless shitfuck who made a career complaining about Donald Trump and was exposed once Trump left office. Now, this cancellation should come as no surprise. Ratings for Propaganda Hour, they have been on the steady decline for a while now. Back in June, a month set aside to celebrate woke Christmas, a month where all believers come together and participate in 30 consecutive days of the butt bongo. The month of June wasn't quite a celebration for Brian Stelter. Now, don't get me wrong. He didn't miss out on any of the festivities. My sources tell me he found interesting new ways to use the donut. Use your imagination. He also wiped out grocery stores of their cucumbers. But in the month of June, Brian Stelter averaged 580,000 viewers, just 73,000 in the key 25 to 54 demo. It was the show's lowest rated month since 2001. His show this past Sunday didn't make the top 100 on cable. Now, just for comparison, Media Buzz on Fox News competes with Brian Stelter. They average 1.5 million. To be fair, Brian Stelter's not the only host struggling at CNN. The entire network is sinking. Warner Brothers, Discovery Media, whatever the fuck they're calling themselves now, they are not fucking around. They took over CNN with the intent to clean house, and that is exactly what they're doing. CNN Plus shut down immediately. Chris Cuomo, gone. Discovery's on a mission to completely eradicate the woke fungus that has infected CNN because they know the way the network is set up right now, they don't have a place in cable news. They're not going to steal conservative viewers from Fox News. They are battling for woke shitfucks with MSNBC and losing. It's hard to compete for the attention of lonely men when you're fighting against birthing people like Joy Reid. I get emails every week from people aspiring to make it here on YouTube on this platform. They always ask me the same question. How do I get noticed? How do I build an audience? My answer's always the same. You got to offer something different. If you're running a sports channel, you can't just regurgitate information you hear on ESPN. Why would I watch you when I can get the same information from established people? Same goes with media. If you're running a news channel, you got to find ways to present the information differently. Discovery has come to this realization with CNN, which is the reason they are trying to eradicate the fungus. This cleanup is not over. I would imagine Don Lemon is next. Discovery wants to make CNN the place for hard news. If opinions will be given, they want a balanced approach. Someone from the Republican side, someone from the Democrat side, no woke shit fucks. Now, it's going to be difficult to find a Democrat that's not woke, but that's what they're trying to do. Don Lemon no longer has a place at CNN. Mark my words. Don Lemon's days are numbered. His ratings are in the pooper. His ideology is on par with Joy Reid. He just doesn't have the ability to make it controversial and generate headlines. CNN is trying to differentiate itself. They're trying to find their place in cable news. Now, whether or not it works remains to be seen. What I don't understand, when are these people going to realize that America has rejected wokeism? The other day, Brian Stelter did a segment on white Christian nationalism being one of the biggest threats to America. You know how I told you guys before, members of Woke United Methodist, they are given directives to follow for the month. Some months it's mythical racism. Some months the focus is mythical oppression. This month, the focus is the mythical threat of white Christian nationalists. Have you ever met a white Christian nationalist? Do you even know what the fuck that is? The religion of Christianity, that is next on their agenda. They are twisting the idea of separation of church and state and pushing for more government control and censorship when it comes to religion. Any religion other than wokeism, of course, that's okay. Most people get confused when it comes to separation of church and state. Most people think it means the church has no place in the government. It's actually the complete opposite. When the founders pushed for separation of church and state, it was to keep government out of the church. They knew corrupt administrations, kind of like the one we have now, they knew they would one day try to silence religion, or even worse, implement a national religion. So they put that protection in the Constitution to prevent that from happening. Now, of course, woke shitfucks, they twist the idea to fit their narrative, just like they do with everything else. It's always about power and control with these people. But anyway, rambling a bit off topic. Give me your thoughts. Brian Stelter, canceled by CNN. Will Don Lemon be next? Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.